What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, we may have just heard a little bit about the future of Ubisoft. Now, it didn't go down the way that I thought it would, but we have a minority shareholder of AJ Investments that are accusing Ubisoft of not just what we're going to talk about, but I do want to focus on this as the main thing. Basically, what it boils down to is they say that they had talks, Ubisoft had talks with EA as well as Microsoft to acquire their IPs, and they didn't disclose that information. Now, there was a few other things that they talked about. They weren't really happy, with Ubisoft's decision making, and some other things that they had shared as well. I think they're going to protest in general because of all of this stuff. So some pretty spicy stuff going on right before, by the way, on the eve. I mean, I know literally not, I guess, the night before, but the week before Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out, right? We know that that game is really gonna, I would say, make or break, or at least really give us a good look as to where Ubisoft is going to go, depending on if Shadow sells, doesn't sell, somewhere in between. I think a lot's going to happen to Ubisoft, over the next 2 weeks. But this I consider rather big, right? Because it's an accusation for sure, right? So you probably should take it with a grain of salt, okay? They're accusing them of doing this. I don't think Ubisoft confirmed this when they kind of came back at them. So right now it's just, I guess, a rumor. But if this were to be true, right, or if this is true, I think this just kind of gives us a early look at, okay, well, exactly what I just said, right? Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to do some stuff, and I've been saying it for a long time. I mean, I think the Ubisoft that we know of right now is probably not going to be the Ubisoft we know in just a little while, and even if it's not just a little while, I don't think Ubisoft in this form exists and survives going in the next 2, 3, 4 years, right? I really think maybe Ubisoft, the name is probably still around and the brand and all that stuff. And this could be one way that they're different, right? Because it seems like potentially they were already having discussions with EA and Microsoft to buy their IPs or, rent them, stuff like that. Now, I got to be honest with you, okay? I actually like this idea. Now, of course, you're rolling the dice, and we've seen these situations not work out so well. I mean, you can go to a personal one that's really hurts me as an individual. Like Crash Bandicoot, right? Like you have that under Activision. Activision just took so little care after they brought it back. They did a good job, I guess, originally. Insane Trilogy, all that stuff, and Microsoft buys them, and it's like, okay, this is their chance to show that kid-friendly market. Even though I'm not a kid, I love freaking Crash Bandicoot, right? And they've done absolutely nothing, right? They've destroyed the franchise with Crash Team Rumble and then nothing afterwards. So these things are dice rolls. They don't have to work out. So while I do think it's a good idea for Ubisoft, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to yield a positive result for us, the consumer, right? Because Microsoft buying Splinter Cell and then releasing Splinter Cell doesn't necessarily mean it's a good Splinter Cell. But from a Ubisoft point of view, we talk about it with WB, and it's not really something, I gotta be real, it's not really something I've thought about with Ubisoft in the past, where it's like, I just expect them to sell. I expect them to kind of sell themselves at some point. But you know what? If nobody really wants to buy them, the company, would they be willing to rent out or just, flat out buy? Because I guess the rumor in terms of acquiring IP certainly sounds like they are literally going to sell it off. Kind of like what Square Enix, I guess, did, right? Years ago with Deus Ex and all that kind of stuff. Literally, they're letting them go. They will not have it anymore. And that's a bit more risky, I guess, for Ubisoft, right? Because you're just saying, okay, here's the price point. We're going to put this on Splinter Cell, this on Prince of Persia, this on Beyond Good and Evil. And once it's bought, we're going to make some money, but we literally lose, ever being able to do that again. Really, I think what it would do for Ubisoft is continue to streamline them, which is kind of a good and a bad thing, right? It kind of keeps their focus, in one direction. But at the same time, they would have less wiggle room. They'd have less room to kind of get creative. And then, again, so that's the Ubisoft point of view. And then again, from the end result, there's no guarantee. You sell, I mean, I just said Splinter Cell to Xbox. How about you sell something to EA and then let's watch, what kind of microtransactions, they put into the thing. So, there's good and bad. There's good and bad potential. I'm not saying it necessarily actually would be bad, and I think from a Ubisoft perspective, it's probably the way that it's going. I mean, if we're really going to follow it through, I think it's very possible that, say, in the next couple of years, they have Far Cry, they have, Assassin's Creed, maybe like Prince of Persia, a couple things, right? Of course, they're always free to like make new things, but of course they got their established stuff, and maybe they just sell off a bunch of stuff, right? 3-4 franchises they're not planning on using. You sell it for a couple tens of millions of dollars, you make a little bit of money, and you will. I will say, I guess, again, from a positive of a consumer, at least you give the possibility of somebody doing something with it. Like Watch Dogs. I would say Watch Dogs is a franchise that I think has always had potential. I think probably was at its peak around Watch Dogs 1. It was a misunderstood kind of era, right? But I mean, like, I don't think they're doing anything with that. After Legion, and Legion didn't do very well for them, seems like they're done with Watch Dogs as a game franchise. Okay, well, if you sell it, I mean, they're making money. That's a win for them, right? And then, well, if you again, it's not a guarantee, but say Xbox or EA or PlayStation or whatever, if they can make an open world Watch Dogs games and it can be good, you continue the franchise. So everybody can win with this scenario. Doesn't mean they all will, because I'm sure there'll be some losers. Most times it's us. Most times it's the consumers that are the losers here. But at least there's a possibility. So I just find it interesting because I just feel, I believe it. I personally believe it because it's like, this is what I would probably expect from Ubisoft, right? So it's like, over the next couple of weeks, and especially if Assassin's Creed doesn't do well, I mean, to make a couple quick millions of dollars selling something, I think would be really beneficial for them if they don't have a lot of success literally in like 7 days from now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.